when I worked at 24 Hour Fitness, the amount of times I saw injuries on the basketball court, it was countless, and everybody would go to the front desk, get an ice pack. Sure, that's correct, to bring the swelling down after a couple of days. We need that swelling there for the phagocytosis to occur. Also, some microbes will be sent through that inflammatory process to help relieve that injured area and to remove all the nasty bacteria. But you ready to get started? I know, we've got Ric Flair in the house. I told you he's probably gonna join us. It's gonna be a party. Of course, we got the Ultimate Warrior. You're here, I'm here. Let's get it going. What's going on, everybody? Hey, it's Hopper. We got another video coming your way, and we are back at it with some more movie reviews. I really enjoyed the previous video that we did. I will actually put a clip for it right up in through here, where we did movie reviews and we discussed several different movies and how they correspond to fitness or health or any sort of human physiology or medication. And we've got another series of that coming your way. And this time we're going to cover some clips from the Goonies as well as Gladiator, and then of course we're going to hit up a little bit of a 40-Year-Old Virgin. So it's going to be a good time. So, ready? Yep. Okay, let's get it started. Let's start off here with the Goonies right at the opening clip. Got Mikey looking outside.
Oh, bummer.
There's a Goonies 2 coming out as well. They just got approved for a sequel. I can't wait.
We need the Goonies. We need this house. I can't wait to get out of here.
Really?
Nah, I was just trying to delete myself. Dictate myself.
That's delude yourself, dummy.
That's what I said.
So this right here, where Brandon's in the back and he's working out, I'm gonna pause this right here. So that machine that he's on is, it's similar to like a Bowflex or something like that. And as you can tell, when I hit the start button, or you can back it up a little bit, it's not a bad machine, and it's functional based off of a band that's attached in the back. And I think the physics behind that actual machine are, they're average, but it's not as good as it could be. This machine right here, it presses, here's the bar right here, and the attachment of the band is right here, and the attachment of the band to the actual bar that he presses is right here. And that's not a very long radius if the bench is right here, and he's laying down and he's pressing, and that's not gonna be too long of a radius for him to press with that, and it's not going to be as much of an overload as he could possibly generate. This band would need to be incredibly thick, and its ability to be stretched, its elastability, is that a word? I don't know, I have to look that up. Its ability to stretch and open up would have to be extremely tense and tough and robust. They could make this machine a little bit more beneficial had they placed the area for the band to attach right in through here, so that way it's a longer lever arm for that to pull on. Because of course, if we kind of draw a triangle like this, the longer this radius right in through here, the more torque, because torque is that force times radius. I cover that in several of my videos. The longer that radius, the more tension would be on the bar frame to press. And interestingly enough, this style of pressing with this band, it's only going to get more difficult the further away he gets. It's not going to be very difficult down and through here. If it was, say, a traditional bench press where the weight is extremely difficult, closer towards the chest and as you come up. And as you start to come up with the weight, it gets a little bit easier because the angle at which that your humerus is operating at, we start to remove that radius. Down here, the arm is longer, it's parallel to the floor, and we can also draw triangles to kind of help represent that. So this radius right here starts to minimize. It's a little easier to add some of the weight on a bench press, but it looks like that band was probably fixed of sorts, and again, it got much more demanding as he presses, but pretty easy on the start. So, and if you were to relate this exercise to sports, you're generally going to be, like if it's basketball, or if it's wrestling, or it's football, you're generally going to be operating kind of in through here a little bit more. The longer your arms are out, that's usually not a very sport-specific position to keep your arms out versus keeping your arms in through here like that. So let's move on. There's a couple more activities that he does.
Thanks, Brand.
I know how you feel, Wimp. I'm sure gonna miss this place too.
Now that's pretty impressive. Not gonna lie.
That's the doctor, wuss.
What's Dr. Wuss? I know what Dr. Wuss. I'll tell you, Brand.
I love the 80s headband.
Ah, it's mouth.
It's fantastic.
Hey, Mickey.
Yo, Mikey! Hey, Mikey, it's in your dreams.
Hey, guys, what's going on?
Get your foot off the table, Mouth.
Yeah. What's going on, guys? Hey, what's the matter with you
He
guys?
said keep your foot off the table,
Come on,
Mouth,
what's the
and his
matter? What
feet
is
are
this?
on the
Every
table.
Saturday or something?
So this drill right here.
It's our last weekend together. Last Goonie weekend. We gotta be going out in style. Cruising the coast. Sniffing some lace. Down in the brews. But
Okay, so right here, this band, it's a spring exercise. This is pretty good. Our culture is definitely headed towards more of a protracted state because of technology, and the rhomboid major, minor, trapezius, all those tissues are becoming weaker and weaker by the day as we sit like this. Also, I love the fact that this little exercise, I don't even know what this is called. If anyone knows what that's called, definitely let me know. The fact that this device was on the chair and he comes downstairs from working out and now he's already kind of working out again. I like that idea of that lifestyle. And the only thing I dislike about this actual activity is it's pretty loose as he brings the hands in. And if there was some sort of mechanism to where he could make it stronger in through here, of course, as he pulls it further and further out, it's going to get more demanding. But it's similar to this device in through there. Gotta love the truffle shuffle. And now, in this scene, Brandon starts to go over to another device that he has. Yep, right here. Hangs himself upside down. Okay, we'll stop this right here. And this is fantastic. I, of course, am unaware as to whether or not if he knows why he's actually doing this drill. Perhaps it just feels good. But the idea of spinal decompression is something that everyone needs to do. And not only is he decompressing his spine, but he's doing it with 100% of gravity. And if we have the unit circle right here, we know that, gosh, you're gonna have, what is it here? Just like this. And then we have pi over 2 for the y. And if we understand that gravity will pull in straight lines like this, and then if we have the x and the y component over here, the x and the y, and then we have another x and the y, and with respect to the unit circle, you can break up gravity's forces at 30 degrees, 30, and then I believe it's 45, and then we've got 60 degrees as well. And then we've got root 3 over 2, and then, what is it? Yeah, 1/2. And then I believe that's just flipped right here. Yep, and then we've got 1/2, and then root 3 over 2. And so if you look for the y component versus the x component in terms of our forces, we know that if we are at completely 90 degrees right in through there, then we know that we are working with 100% of gravity. And him holding this position, decompressing his spine, that will relieve a significant amount of tension from the intervertebral discs between our vertebrae. And those intervertebral discs, if you have your spine right here and here's your vertebrae, just like this, in between, you've got these discs in between those vertebrae, and these are the intervertebral discs. And especially if we squat or deadlift, we're gonna get a fair amount of spinal compression throughout the day, and even just standing 6, 7, 8 hours a day, that gravity, that force of gravity, that 9.81 meters per second squared, my apologies, negative 9.81 meters per second squared, that will actually start to influence how our spine behaves. So decompressing our spine, it definitely has its health benefits. It will help increase the blood supply as well throughout the spine, and it's something that we should do every single day. So moving on, we're gonna watch and review the Gladiator.
clean it. Wait and see.
Right there. So that is a profound scene right there with the cut on his arm and those maggots and little bugs in through there. And he says, you know, wait, they will clean it, wait and see. And man, that's so good. There's so much to be said about that. One of the main concepts that I wanted to discuss with this is the inflammatory process. And they're already on top of it. The inflammatory process will start when any sort of injury occurs to our body. And the main process within the inflammatory process is called phagocytosis. And I'll actually put a chart for it. Well, the movie's gonna be right here. I may put a chart for it up and through here so we can see it. And a big portion of this process will be the dilation of the veins and arteries, to get some fluid, to get some extra blood flowing through there. And then we get the phagocytes, and the phagocytes are these little containers, if you will. And if we have antigens, we just go like this, right through here, or pathogens that shouldn't be in our body, basically an injury of sorts, then these phagocytes, they will engulf these antigens and pathogens and bacteria. And so they will open up their cell membrane, they'll go through, they'll open it up, and they will encircle it and degrade it and get rid of it. And so that is why we get that inflammatory process when something happens. And they're right on cue, helping out that inflammatory process with those bugs and maggots on that cut and eating all that nastiness. And the other notion about this is there is a small side effect to it, with the fact that our body doesn't know how much inflammatory process to send to an injured area. So if you go to a gas station and you fill your car up with gas or battery powered or whatever, you can give it a finite amount of gas or a finite amount of a charge. If I charge my little scooter or anything like that, I can let it charge for 20 minutes, I can let it charge for 30 minutes. And the same thing with gas in a car. You can give it $5, $10, $20 worth of gas. You can give it a finite amount. The issue with an inflammatory process and a notion of swelling is your body does not know how much swelling and inflammatory response to give it. And it'll just turn it on. And it would be similar to if you went to a fire hydrant and you open up a fire hydrant, or you hit it open and the water just starts to shoot out, and it's just gonna go. And so this is why we need to implement icing to an injured area.
Fuck. Anybody got a mirror?
The icing will create the vasoconstriction to basically stop the inflammatory process, because if we have too much of this, then that's when we can run into problems. I mean, too much of anything will generate negative side effects. When I worked at 24 Hour Fitness, the amount of times I saw injuries on the basketball court, it was countless, and everybody would go to the front desk, get an ice pack. Sure, that's correct, you know, to bring the swelling down after a couple of days. We need that swelling there for the phagocytosis to occur. Also, some microbes will be sent through that inflammatory process to help relieve that injured area and to remove all the nasty bacteria. But you don't want to ice an injury immediately, because that swelling certainly has its benefits, just like this, and just like the scene in that movie with all those nasty maggots in through there. But perhaps I shouldn't call them nasty, because they're definitely eating away all the bad bacteria and cleaning it out. So, but again, just ensure that when we do experience some sort of injury, that you let the swelling stay there for a day or two, because we need that swelling. We need that inflammatory process because of all the goodness that will happen. But then we can start to add the ice to get the swelling down, because then we no longer need that dilation, that inflammatory process to occur. So I love that scene. That is fantastic. And yeah, let's move on. The 40-Year-Old Virgin. I love this movie. I remember when it came out in 2005, I just watched it so many times. So actually, let's rewind that a bit here. And I want to look at this tricep extension. This is pretty clever, and it certainly may get the job done for some exercise. I certainly don't feel as if that this can generate too much of an overload. And I mean, I don't know if that's attached to It looks like attached to maybe a bicycle tire, but it just looks like some bands. And again, this is good for movement. This is good to get the motor neurons firing. It could definitely be beneficial for some supplemental work. But of course, at some point in time, he's going to adapt to this drill, and he's not going to get much of a benefit from it after a certain point. But I do like the idea behind it. It looks efficient. It's right attached to a door, easy to access, and it's certainly better than doing nothing at all. So, but yeah, the picture that he's staring at, God, I love this movie. So, I forgot what that device is called. I think I remember seeing it on a telecommercial back in the day, and they're of course doing the adduction in through there, and I think if I recall correctly, I remember a guy actually doing like bicep curls with it, kind of curling it in as well. But this drill, you know, he looks like he's using a little bit of his abs, and he's doing the adduction. However, in general, for the adductors, there's three of them. There's adductor magnus, brevis, and longus, and I would never, I never prescribe adduction to any of my clients, simply because the glutes in humans nowadays, the vast majority of humans have extremely underactive glutes, and there's a tendency for us to stand with some internal rotation of the femurs, and we sit down so much these days that we take stand-up breaks versus taking sit-down breaks. And if we could revert back to taking sit-down breaks because we work so much on our feet and getting the glutes and the hamstrings to work, that would be way more beneficial. But typically you're not gonna see too much prime moving by squeezing the femurs inward. Oftentimes you're gonna see much more like moving outward and the femur moving out while we're playing sports, especially if you're a tennis player with all that lateral movement going side to side. And I would just never prescribe an exercise that makes the adductors the prime mover. I would much rather them stay a synergist muscle and allow the glutes and the hamstrings to become more of the prime movers. I've just seen so much overactivity in the adductors over the years with all my clients, and overactivity in the TFLs that actually lift the femur, and just underactivity in the glutes. But again, this is better than doing nothing at all. It's some good exercise, if you will. But again, I certainly wouldn't participate in this exercise. But it's still great. It's funny to watch, and I love the look on his face too. It's so serious. And this right here, this is the look on his face is fantastic as well. This also looks like an inversion table to a certain extent, and we just discussed the spinal decompression that Brandon was doing in the Goonies. But this looks similar to an abdominal exercise, but it's actually not. The abdominals will flex the spine. So you've got the rectus abdominis and you've got the transverse abdominis, and that flexes the spine and through here. What he's actually doing, there's no spinal flexion in this exercise whatsoever. It's all hip flexion, and the hip flexion moving up and down like this is caused by the psoas major, the psoas minor, the TFL, a little bit of the pectineus in through there. So I think in this movie, this character thinks that he's probably doing something for his abdominals, when in reality, you know, he's using a little bit of that rectus femoris, the psoas major and minor, like I said, that TFL to create that hip extension. And again, this is better than doing nothing. It's good for some exercise, but I would strongly advise to do some sort of activity to flex the spine if the objective here is to work the abdominal tissues. And of course, he finishes it off with a bath. Which is all good to go. Although the craze is the cold plunge and the ice baths, I would strongly suggest to take the cold bath or the cold shower, the cold plunge after the exercise. That will help cool the body off faster. I actually have a video on the benefits of ice baths. I will put a clip for it right up in through here. And then he's off on his way to work at a place that looks like the old school Circuit Cities. Some of you are gonna know what that is, some of you will not. So anyway, so that is it for this movie review. We covered the Goonies, the Gladiator, and the 40-Year-Old Virgin. And again, I enjoy doing these movie reviews, so for those of you that have any suggestions, put them in the comments below. For those of you that wish to donate to this channel, there are links in the description to donate. Please like this video, also share it on other social media platforms, and of course, subscribe to the channel. And we, Brutus, myself, and Ric Flair, we will see you all next time. Nice job today. You didn't help out at all. You never help out, man. Like, damn. Man, you know, you could speak up, you could high five, you could, like, you know, kind of point, but you can't even move your arms. Damn.